Captain stepped into the vast chamber of the alien queen with a mixture of fear and determination. The air was thick with a strange, shimmering energy that made her skin tingle. She had entered countless alien worlds in her lifetime, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. Her daughter was always known as the one who could never have children. The aliens had labeled her Barren after a failed experiment meant to unlock human potential. Now, holding her granddaughter in her arms, felt the weight of centuries of disbelief and impossibility pressing down on her. The chamber was enormous, lined with crystalline pillars that pulsed softly in colors that humans could not name. At the far end, hovering above a dais of glowing stone, was the alien queen herself. Her tall, elegant frame seemed almost weightless. Her skin shimmered with patterns of light, and her multiple eyes reflected a universe of knowledge. When she looked at, it was not just curiosity she saw, but challenge. She had never encountered a human bold enough to appear here uninvited. Drew a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Stood beside her, her posture tense yet proud. Between them, in a small cradle of arms and blankets, lay the little girl whose existence everything the aliens believed about humans. The baby stirred, blinking her wide, innocent eyes at the shimmering room. She had the soft, pale skin of her mother but carried a spark that seemed almost alive, glowing faintly with every small movement. Her compound eyes widened as she noticed the child. She froze, hovering in midair, her long fingers stopping mid-gesture. Her voice, usually calm and commanding, trembled slightly as she whispered, She exists." His own voice shook as she replied, "Yes, Your Majesty, this is his daughter, she is human." A silence heavier than stone fell across the chamber. The guards and advisors who surrounded the queen stiffened. Some whispered, their voices trembling. No human had ever been capable of creating life after what had happened to. Prophecies, records, and countless experiments all confirmed the same truth: was barren. To see a child born from her was not only shocking, it was impossible. Giggled softly, reaching out her tiny hand toward the glowing pillars. The sound, light and pure, echoed through the hall in a way that made even the alien attendants pause. For a moment, the impossibility of the situation faded into the simplicity of human innocence. The child did not understand the weight of the moment. She only knew warmth, love, and curiosity. Stepped closer to her, heart pounding. "I know this is hard to believe," she said. "We thought it was impossible too, but she is real, she is alive." His eyes flickered with a strange combination of shock and something else, something she had not expected to feel in centuries. Awe. The queen, who had ruled countless worlds, who had never been surprised by human capability, could not look away. She had always relied on logic, calculations, and prophecy. Yet here was undeniable proof that humans could defy every expectation. The chamber seemed to hold its breath as the queen floated silently. For the first time, she realized that power was not only about rules, control, or knowledge. Sometimes it was about the unexplainable. Something in small human heart radiated in a way even aliens could feel. It challenged everything had believed about life, about control, about destiny. Could see the internal struggle within the queen. She stood tall, keeping her voice calm despite the rapid beating of her heart. "She is more than a child," said softly. "She is proof that life always finds a way, even when everyone says it cannot." His usual icy composure cracked. Her gaze softened, lingering on. A flicker of emotion, perhaps the closest she had ever felt to fear or wonder, crossed her features. In that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. Humans were unpredictable, resilient, and in ways the galaxy had not yet realized, extraordinary. The impossible had walked into the chamber, smiling innocently. And for the first time, the alien queen understood that the universe had just shifted. News of its existence spread through the alien court like a supernova. The impossible had occurred, and no one could ignore it. Whispered conversations filled the crystalline halls. Advisors questioned their own calculations, and scientists scrambled to repeat every experiment, desperate to find a flaw. But the truth was undeniable. His daughter was real and she was human. Stood beside her daughter, feeling both pride and fear. Humans were fragile, yet their spirit was relentless. His tiny hands reached for the shimmering lights on the walls, and every touch seemed to awaken something inside the room itself. Energy pulses shimmered around the child, subtle but unmistakable, as though the universe recognized her presence. The alien court could sense it too, and unease rippled through the gathered officials. Knelt beside her daughter, brushing soft strands of hair from her forehead. "She's more than we imagined," she whispered, her voice trembling. "She is stronger. She is a gift." Hovered silently, her eyes fixed on the child. She had ruled for centuries, yet she had never encountered something so simple, so human, that could render her powerless in thought. Every instinct, every law she had enforced had predicted impossibility. And yet, here was proof that life could surprise even the oldest and rulers. The queen's multiple eyes darted around the chamber, noting the fear, the awe, and the growing excitement among her attendants. Many of them were frightened. To acknowledge meant acknowledging that centuries of knowledge could be wrong. It was a thought that challenged the very foundation of their society. One of the chief scientists, a tall figure with iridescent skin, approached cautiously. "Your Majesty," he said, voice shaking, "we have repeated every test. Every genetic scan confirms it. This child, she is daughter, human, and healthy beyond expectation." His long fingers twitched in thought. She had seen impossible things before, but this was different. This was not a machine malfunction, not a miscalculation. This was life itself breaking the rules. Her mind raced. If humans could defy nature, if they could create life against all odds, what did that mean for the galaxy? Sensing the tension, stepped forward. "I know you may not understand, Your Majesty," she said, her voice calm but firm, "but she is proof that hope can exist in the darkest places. We did not expect her, and yet here she is, alive and full of potential. Please see her for what she is." Sensing the unspoken tension, took a small step toward. She reached out a tiny hand, her innocent eyes meeting the queen's. In that moment, the chamber seemed to pause. Even the crystal pillars pulsed more slowly, as if the universe itself had stopped to watch. The queen's rigid demeanor faltered as a strange warmth crept into her chest. The child giggled, and the sound was like music to ears that had never heard joy. It was small, soft, yet it carried a strength that resonated in the very walls of the chamber. Felt something stir inside her, a long-forgotten memory of wonder, of curiosity, of something that had no place in her careful, calculated mind. Could feel the shift. The queen, feared across star systems, who had never shown weakness, was now silent, observing, contemplating, and perhaps even questioning her own beliefs. It was not fear exactly. It was awe. And it was human awe that had touched her, as if the child carried the weight of a galaxy's possibilities in her small hands. His eyes shimmered with tears. "She is our miracle," she whispered. "The one who proves that even when the universe says no, hope can still exist." His gaze lingered on the child, unblinking. The impossible had entered her court, and for the first time she realized that power was not just about control. Sometimes, it was about recognizing when life itself had written rules beyond one's understanding. The alien queen, who had seen centuries pass and countless worlds fall, understood now that the universe had chosen to speak through a human child. And completely unaware of the storm she had caused, reached up and grasped his finger with tiny determination. The impossible was here, smiling, laughing, and changing everything. The calm of the chamber could not last. Whispers turned into murmurs, and murmurs became tense discussions among the queen's advisors. Not everyone was awed by his presence. Some saw a threat, a fragile human child who had every expectation. If the queen accepted her, it would shake the very foundation of alien rule. Some factions feared that power, so meticulously controlled for centuries, could slip from their hands. Felt the weight of their scrutiny. The air itself seemed heavy, each glance cutting sharper than a blade. She knelt beside, keeping a protective hand on. "They won't accept her," she whispered. "Some of them will try to take her away." His jaw tightened. "Then we will protect her," she said firmly. Her voice had grown stronger since the birth of her daughter. The label of Barren had once made her feel weak, but now she felt unstoppable. For the first time, she realized that her daughter was not just a miracle, she was a symbol of human strength. In the shadows of the chamber, some council members plotted. They exchanged coded gestures and whispered plans that could undermine the queen herself. Their goal was simple: remove before she could alter the balance of power. They could not allow a human to demonstrate such potential, not when centuries of laws and calculations had declared it impossible. However, sensed the unrest. Her awareness stretched beyond the visible, beyond the physical presence of the court. Yet something strange held her back. She could feel the subtle pulse of life within, and it radiated a quiet but undeniable authority. Even in her fear of losing control, realized that the child's existence carried a lesson she could not ignore. Humans were unpredictable, and sometimes unpredictability was more powerful than fear. That night, and prepared for what they knew might come. The chamber was quiet, but outside, shadows moved like whispers of danger. Placed a small, glowing human device on its crib, a relic of there. It hummed softly, a beacon and shield in one. "It will keep her safe for now," she said, though doubt lingered. Unaware of the tension, reached out toward the shimmering device, her small fingers brushing against it. It pulsed brighter with her touch, reacting to her presence as if the child and the technology were in silent conversation. Felt a rush of hope. Somehow, the human heart had a connection to the universe that even aliens could not replicate. Meanwhile, stood at the edge of the chamber, contemplating. The whispers of rebellion were dangerous, yes, but she could not ignore the truth before her eyes. She had lived centuries ruling through fear, logic, and strict order. But here, in front of her, a human child radiated power not through dominance, but through existence itself. She realized the threat to her court was not, it was their inability to see beyond control. In the quiet, his mind wandered to memories of her own children, those she had lost in wars, those taken by time, and those she had never known. Her gaze softened as she looked at the granddaughter she had never expected. The child's laughter echoed through the halls, a reminder that life had a way of bending rules, of creating miracles where none should exist. Held close, whispering, "They may try, but we will not let them take you. You are ours and you are unstoppable." Nodded, determination etched into every line of her face. For the first time, they understood that protecting the child was not just about survival. It was about defying impossible odds and proving that life, especially human life, could rewrite destiny itself. Outside the chamber, shadows shifted, plotting, waiting. But inside, a small human child slept peacefully, unaware that she carried the hopes and fears of two worlds. And in that peace, even the alien queen felt a flicker of doubt about the rules she had long believed unbreakable. The storm was coming, but for once the humans had the first spark. The night air was thick with tension as it moved quietly through the alien palace corridors. Every shadow seemed alive, every flicker of light a potential threat. The guards had not yet discovered the child, but the family knew it was only a matter of time. Nestled in her mother's arms, was unaware of the danger surrounding her. Her small fingers occasionally brushed against her mother's face, and her laughter, soft and melodic, seemed to mock the tension. His heart pounded in her chest. She had faced alien ambushes before, but this was different. They were protecting a child who had already the laws of biology, a child whose very existence challenged centuries of alien authority. Steps were steady, her face a mask of calm determination, but could see the fire in her daughter's eyes. This was not fear. They were carrying hope itself, fragile yet fierce. The corridors twisted like a labyrinth, designed to confuse intruders. Energy barriers shimmered intermittently along the walls, ready to incinerate anything that touched them. Deactivated them one by one with her handheld console, praying the timing would be perfect. Each barrier was a heartbeat, a test of patience, and failure would mean capture, or worse. Small head rested against her mother's shoulder, her soft breathing a reminder of what they were risking. Suddenly, a patrol emerged around a corner, froze, her pulse racing, instinctively moved in front of her daughter, shielding her from view. The guards, clad in iridescent armor, scanned the hallway, their attention drawn to a faint shimmer left by console. The seconds stretched into eternity. Then, with a silent gesture they ducked into a side passage, narrowly avoiding detection. The guards passed, unaware of the small human miracle escaping through their grasp. Outside, the palace gardens glowed under alien moons. Bioluminescent plants cast soft light across the pathways, but danger lurked even in beauty. Drones hovered silently, scanning for life signatures, led the way, moving swiftly but carefully. The portal, their only hope, awaited at the far end, a shimmering gateway powered by ancient human technology, long forgotten by the aliens but still capable of bending space itself. Stirred in her sleep and reached for the glow of a nearby flower. As her tiny hand touched it, the plant's luminescence pulsed brighter, as if responding to her presence. Watched in awe. Somehow, the child seemed connected to energy in ways even the most advanced alien science could not explain. Whispered, "She isn't just human, she's extraordinary." The portal shimmered ahead, an unstable doorway to freedom. Could feel the energy humming, resonating with his heartbeat. The child's presence made it more stable, more real. It was as if the universe itself had chosen her to lead the way, to rewrite the rules that even the Queen had never imagined could be broken. Behind them, alarms finally blared. The court had realized the child was missing. The pursuit was relentless. Energy blasts scorched the garden paths, missing by mere inches as and sprinted, hearts hammering. Laughter, pure and unafraid, echoed through the chaos. It was a sound so human, so defiant, that even felt tears sting her eyes. They reached the portal, activated the device, its energy spiraling and pulsing like a living thing. The opening shimmered, unstable but functional. One by one, they stepped through. Small hand touched the edge of the portal and it expanded, glowing brighter, welcoming them. In that moment, the impossible became tangible, a doorway not just through space, but through doubt, fear, and centuries of expectation. Behind them, the palace erupted in chaos, guards and drones scrambling but did not look back. She could feel the weight of history shifting, a small human child leading the way into an unknown future. Held her daughter close, whispering words of love and protection. The universe itself seemed to bend to the courage of three hearts, human, resilient, unstoppable. As they passed through the portal, the alien garden vanished in a flash of light. Ahead was uncertainty, adventure and danger, but also hope. His tiny giggle echoed one last time and realized something powerful. Sometimes, the smallest humans could carry the heaviest dreams. The stars stretched endlessly around them and emerged from the portal into the void of space. A gentle hum of the human device they carried echoed softly, stabilizing their position in this strange region between galaxies. The child in his arms blinked at the shimmering constellations, her tiny face filled with wonder. Even amidst danger, radiated calm and joy, a beacon of hope in the darkness. Took a deep breath. The portal had brought them to a hidden location, one that humans had long abandoned but never forgotten. It was a secret hub of ancient technology, a relic from when humanity had first reached beyond its own solar system. Devices, half buried in starlight, hummed with energy, and one pulsed more strongly as gaze fell upon it. It was as if the universe itself recognized her presence. Tightened her hold on her daughter, her heart pounding with both awe and anxiety. "Mom, look at her," she whispered. "She's interacting with the technology." Reached out with a small hand toward a floating console, and the device responded instantly. Screens lit up, alien symbols shifting into readable patterns, revealing maps, star charts, and energy networks that even the Queen's best scientists would have struggled to decode. The child's presence seemed to activate something long dormant, something only a human heart could awaken. His breath caught. This is beyond anything I've seen," she murmured. "She's not just human, she's a key. She can unlock things even the aliens couldn't. Meanwhile, across the void had not forgotten them. The Queen's consciousness extended far, sensing the activation of energy patterns tied to. Something extraordinary was unfolding, something that could not be predicted or controlled. For the first time in centuries, felt powerless, yet also captivated. Her mind, trained for logic and dominance, struggled to comprehend what she was witnessing. Back in the hub, touched another device, and energy streams arced into the sky like luminous rivers. It was more than light. It was information, knowledge, and power all at once, and watched in stunned silence. The child's eyes sparkled with curiosity, completely unaware that she was reshaping the balance of power in the galaxy. Suddenly, a holographic projection appeared, displaying patterns that connected human and alien technologies in ways no one had imagined possible. Realized that unique energy, the human spark, was bridging gaps across civilizations, creating possibilities that had been thought impossible. Even shivered at the thought. Her daughter had become more than a child. She was a living bridge between species, a symbol of cooperation and unity that could alter the fate of worlds. Whispered, she's the universe itself speaking through her. Mom, she's showing us that humans can do what no one else can. Nodded, her eyes glistening. We underestimated humans, always. We thought we were fragile, we thought we were weak, but look at her, she's rewriting the rules. The galaxy has no choice but to see it now. Meanwhile's voice echoed in her own chamber back on the palace world, a low hum of realization. The Queen understood something critical. Humans did not rely on prophecy, fear, or control. They relied on hope, courage, and resilience. And the child she had once doubted, her granddaughter, embodied it all. Giggled, spinning slightly as energy arcs danced around her. The lights reflected in her eyes, bright and innocent, yet fierce and unyielding. Wrapped her arms around her daughter and granddaughter, feeling a surge of pride and relief. For the first time, they were truly safe, not just from physical harm, but from the limitations that the universe had tried to impose on them. In that moment, the stars themselves seemed to respond. Streams of energy previously invisible shimmered across the void like threads weaving a new pattern, and at the center of it all was a small human child, laughing, curious, and fearless. The impossible had become reality. The fragile had become powerful, and the galaxy, for all its laws and predictions, would never be the same again. Hovered above her crystalline dais, the weight of centuries pressing down on her shoulders. The reports from her scouts had reached her in fragments. The child had activated ancient human technology, bridging worlds and energies in ways no one could control. Her court whispered anxiously, debating whether to strike immediately or wait. But the Queen knew, whatever choice she made now would shape the fate of the galaxy itself. Her compound eyes fixed on the stars beyond her palace walls. Across the void, she could sense the human family moving through the cosmic hub, the faint energy signature of the child shining like a beacon. For the first time in her long life, felt hesitation. Power had always been clear-cut. Enforce the law, punish the disobedient, protect your throne. Yet its presence complicated everything. She was no ordinary being. She was proof that life could defy even the most rigid rules. And had paused at a glowing energy bridge, watching their daughter's fingers trace luminous symbols in the air. Laughter rang like chimes in the void, innocent but commanding. Every movement she made seemed to awaken dormant systems, activate hidden pathways, and illuminate secrets the universe had kept hidden. Realized then that her daughter had not just survived the impossible, she had become the impossible. Descended through the void herself, stepping into the human hub, her figure shimmering against the alien technology. The advisors who had urged her to punish the humans recoiled, unsure how to respond to their queen's sudden appearance. She approached, and slowly, her voice both commanding and unusually gentle. This cannot be," she murmured, though her tone betrayed more awe than disbelief. "Yet I see it with my own eyes." Held closer, her posture protective but firm. "You see the truth, your majesty. She is human, she is real, she is alive, and she has a power no one can deny. Multiple eyes softened as they rested on the small child, looked up at her, unafraid, smiling with a purity that disarmed the most hardened rulers. For centuries, the queen had ruled through fear and logic, yet this tiny human had awakened something unfamiliar inside her, something she could not name, a mixture of awe, pride, and a rare form of humility. The court murmured in shock. Some advisors argued, "She is dangerous, remove her." Others were awed, whispering that the child represented hope for the galaxy. Raised her hand, silencing all voices. Her decision had to be made, and she knew it could not be guided by fear. She knelt slightly to meet's gaze, her enormous presence tempered by genuine wonder. "You are my granddaughter," she said softly, "and I will protect you, not because of law, not because of prophecy, but because you exist, and existence itself is more powerful than control." Giggled, reaching for his finger. The queen allowed the tiny hand to touch her, and an energy pulse ran through her, strange and beautiful. She felt an unfamiliar warmth, a connection to something larger than her reign, something universal and undeniable. She understood, finally, that true power was not about domination. It was about recognizing life in its most miraculous forms. Exhaled in relief. Eyes glistened with tears, pride and gratitude mingling as she watched her daughter and grandmother form a bond that transcended species, rules, and centuries of expectation. The impossible had been embraced, and the queen herself had chosen to protect it. The court stood silent, absorbing the shift in authority. Choice was clear. The child would not be taken, punished, or controlled. Instead, she would be nurtured, safeguarded, and allowed to grow. Small but fierce had rewritten the rules of the galaxy, not through war or fear, but simply by existing. As rose fully she looked at Anne. "We have much to learn from her," she said. "From all of you. The galaxy has changed today, and it is not because of power alone. It is because of life, courage, and hope." Hugged her daughter and granddaughter tightly, feeling the tension of countless dangers lift for the first time. Rested her head against the queen's chest, a silent acknowledgement of the new bond forming. Even felt a stirring of something she had never experienced: humility. The universe had presented her with a choice, and she had made it. The child who was meant to be impossible had not only survived, she had inspired the queen of the galaxy to act with compassion, courage, and awe. The galaxy had never been quieter or more alive. In the hidden human hub, and stood together, bathed in the soft glow of activated alien technology. The energy pulsing through the systems hummed like the heartbeat of the universe itself. Small hands reached toward the light, and with every touch, hidden pathways of power awakened, connecting distant worlds, ancient star systems, and unknown civilizations. Humans had been underestimated for centuries, but here, in the center of the cosmos, their potential shone undeniable and unstoppable. Knelt beside her daughter and granddaughter, her eyes glistening with pride. "She's done it," she whispered. "She's shown us that nothing is impossible." Held closer, feeling the steady warmth of her child's heartbeat. The little girl laughed, her voice ringing through the hub like a promise. That laugh carried hope, courage, and the unshakable strength of a species that refused to accept limits. Far away on the alien palace world stood silently, watching energy streams shift across space. She had chosen to protect her granddaughter, but the choice had transformed her as much as it had the humans. Centuries of rule, fear, and strategy had given way to wonder, humility, and something she had never thought possible: respect for the unpredictable spirit of humanity. The queen realized that control was not power. Life, courage, and hope were. The human child had done what no prophecy or calculation could. She had united alien and human technology, life and energy, hope and courage. Through her existence, bridges were built where walls had stood for. Civilizations that had once eyed each other with suspicion now sensed possibility. The galaxy had shifted, and tiny, fragile human had been the spark. Looked around at the glowing corridors, feeling the weight of everything that had brought them here. The fear, the chase, the doubt, all of it had led to this moment. She realized that humans survived not because they were the strongest or the fastest or the cleverest in the traditional sense, but because they refused to yield to limits. They carried hope like fire, and that fire could ignite worlds. Knelt down beside her daughter, brushing a soft curl from her forehead. "You did it," she said softly. "You've changed everything." Small eyes sparkled, and she giggled, as if she knew exactly how much power she held, even without understanding it. Descended into the hub, her massive presence gentle and deliberate. She knelt, bringing herself closer to S level. "You have shown me," the queen said softly, her voice tinged with emotion, "that life is stronger than rules, that courage is stronger than fear, and that hope is stronger than any law." The child reached for his hand again, and this time the queen took it fully, feeling the pulse of something ancient and infinite flowing through her. The advisors and allies who had followed his journey watched in stunned silence. They had expected a human child to be a curiosity, a threat, or a mistake. Instead, she was a miracle, a force of nature that reshaped the galaxy without violence or command. They realized finally that humanity had a power no one could predict, the power to believe, to endure, and to transform everything through love, courage, and hope. As the first light of alien suns reflected across the hub, laughter echoed into the void, carrying a promise that humanity and life itself would endure, no matter the odds, and embraced, holding their daughter tightly, knowing that they had survived impossible odds. The once feared queen stood beside them, humbled, awed, and forever changed by the child who had rewritten destiny. The galaxy had been tested, challenged, and transformed. And in the center of it all, a small human child smiled, unaware of the legend she had begun. The impossible had become inevitable because humans, fragile, fearless, and unstoppable, would always rise when the universe said they could not. A new dawn had arrived. The stars themselves seemed to shimmer with promise, reflecting the courage of one human child, and through her, the hope of all humanity. The galaxy would never forget that the smallest hearts often carry the greatest power.